Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is that you're listening or watching this latest episode of TurfCast podcast with me, your Evan, and as usual, my good friend, Simon Townley. How you doing, mate? You all right?
All good, thank you very much. Yourself?
Yeah, good. Obviously, we started last week's with a somber tone after, a couple of defeats. This week we started with a bit of a happier tone, and we didn't really expect to be in this position, did we? But obviously, we'll get into that. Just before we do get started, I want to do the usual housekeeping stuff. If you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, in fact, it won't be on Facebook this week. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see, obviously, at the bottom of your screen, we are, of course, sponsored by Pitch Sport. And as I say every single week, give it a download. It's available on the App Store and the Google Play Store. And now, if you're an Irish listener, like Quilter, it's available in Ireland. So you can give it a download if you're listening or watching in Ireland, because it is now available on the App Store. And one thing as well, I do want to quickly do, because we have got a busy one this week. Simon needs to shoot off. We've got 2 games and some transfer activity, all to get wrapped up into the same podcast. So it's going to be a busy podcast. And as I've said, Simon does need to shoot off. But we received a nice message on Instagram this week, and I like to read these out and stuff because this is why we do it. It was from Jay Warburton. He sent me a message on Tuesday at 9:20 in the morning. So, it's one of his first thoughts on waking up. Hi, chaps. Just a quick message from a relatively new listener to the podcast. I've discovered it recently. So been on it weekly for the last 5 to 6 weeks, and then listened to some of the back catalogue on a long drive from Essex back up to Lancashire this weekend. It's great to actually find some Burnley-specific content out there, and I think, then he puts in brackets, for the most part, you guys speak a lot of sense.
I agree with that. Jay, probably your parts.
No, fuck off. It'll be you. I am interested to hear which bits we don't speak sense about, because obviously my speak sense 100% of the time. So, Jay, if you are listening, even if you're listening in 6 weeks or whatever, drop us a message. Let me know which bit you think is absolute bullshit. And he says, keep up the great work. So thank you for that, Jay. I really appreciate it. And that's why we do it. But yeah, that's it for the housekeeping. Like I said, it's an action-packed podcast this week. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. And let's go back to last Thursday. Excuse me. Liverpool 0, Burnley 1. Now, none of us were expecting that, were we?
Nope. Can't say we were. No, actually, I retract everything I've just said.
Well, you didn't say we'd win 1-0, so you weren't expecting it. Anyway, what did you say? I think you shit out and said 1-1 at end, didn't you?
No, I said 0-0, and I also said, as soon as I seen the lineup, I put a tenner on Burnley to win, because I fancied it when I seen Rigi up front and Henderson wasn't playing, and I won.
You did, because obviously you mentioned that on the watch along, so I can vouch for that. You're not just one of them lads that's like, oh look, I won a bet. He did actually tell me beforehand. But what did you make of the performance then? Because obviously it were faultless, weren't it?
It were to majority, well, to 99% of it. I can't see what more we could have done in terms of defensive side. Definitely not. Maybe a little bit more on the clinical side, and that's been super, super harsh, because I think we had 4 shots on target to their 6 on target. So the majority of it, we were level playing field. At home, you'd expect them to have the most of chances anyway. Yeah, I know they had 25 chances or something ridiculous like that, but it was 6 on target to our 4. So, we a penalty. It was a good penalty to get. I think it was Barnsley knew he just needed to touch that ball when he's got the penalty. For some reason on the national TV stations and national radio stations, there was a big debate about whether or not it was a penalty, which pissed me off knowing, man. Like, if Liverpool had got that penalty, there is no way that would have been debated. But we are going to debate it anyway. Yeah. You think it's a penalty? I think he's earned the penalty. I don't think it was necessarily a foul, other than Ashley Barnes knowing it's a race. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but in some respects, but it's a race. It's a race to the ball, and it happens all over the pitch. And whoever finishes second to the ball, it's a foul. So a penalty seems like a harsh reality for what it was, but it was both people went into that challenge knowing that if they get the ball first, they've won that battle. Yeah, both people went into that challenge, like you say, knowing they had to win the ball. Barnsley did win the ball, Alisson didn't win the ball, and therefore it's a penalty. And I know I use this example all the time, but Nick Pope on Patrick Bamford at Ellen Road, them two get to the ball together at the same time, and in my opinion, Nick Pope wins the ball. That one's much less of a penalty. So if that one's a penalty, the Alisson one's a penalty 10 times over. But yeah, interesting win. What did we make of the Dash and Klopp stuff then? Because that was quite interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I love the fact that they both squashed it as soon as the match finished. They both said, listen, it was just two managers thinking. I think it was fully fueled by the frustrations of Klopp. I think Dash has probably said one thing that's just blown Klopp over the top. He's under some pressure at the minute to get results, and he's basically not breaking down Burnley at that point. And I just think, yeah, Dash probably said something and he's just fucking gone for it. You know what it's like? It's like when your missus is in a mood and you just said the littlest thing and all of a sudden it's like, boom, it's in your face.
Yeah.
Been in that type a few times. But yeah, it's I don't think there was much of it. I love the fact that they squashed it afterwards and said it was nothing. But the second half after that, it all worked in our favour. His frustrations, his thing, he's took that into the dressing room, from my opinion. Hence why Alisson's gone flying into that, because he's, they're all pumped up. They all know they need to do something. If Alisson had been more involved in the game, would he have done that? Or is it just a rush of blood because it's his moment in the match? Because he didn't have a great deal to do, let's be fair. But neither did Nick Pope, and he didn't do no daft.
No, true. I do want to go back to something you said earlier, though, because it's something I agree with. Again, we didn't really create too much. And I know I'm being incredibly harsh here because we're playing at Liverpool. We weren't expected to create anything. But it's the only reason why it is a concern, and I'm bringing it up, is because of how we've created so little in the previous games before it for quite a while now, a month and a half, 2 months. So was that a concern, or do you just all look at that game? I guess it is a concern on the last 4 or 5 games, speaking from the Liverpool game backwards. Obviously, we'll mention the Fulham game in a bit. Otherwise, it probably wouldn't have been a concern. But for me, it's still a bit of a concern. But again, I do think I'm being a bit harsh with it being Liverpool. But like I said, I'm going back to the several games before it. But what do you think on that?
Yeah, I think that's why I reference it as being like 99% of the way there. Because away at Liverpool, you're not expected to create many chances. But I only bring it up because of the lack of chances in previous games. That being said, I wanted to sort of bring it in at some point of that gap between the defence and midfield was the first time it's been filled in a long, long time. Not just in an attacking sense, because obviously we didn't create a great deal, but they worked together as a unit to build out the play, to work it out. It was so good to just not see begging for Ashley Barnes to get a foul, just so that we can get up the pitch. It was so good to see the link-up play and the movement and the confidence sort of growing in the squad. And you know what? Dwight McNeil, mate, ran that show. He absolutely ran it for us.
That was the next bit I wanted to talk about. How good were he, man? Because he was
brilliant.
I know we said he was quite poor at the start of the season. I say poor for Dwight. He wasn't doing what he was doing in that game. And you mentioned that midfield link. Dwight was a big part of that, getting the ball and running at Liverpool, getting us up the pitch. That's what we've missed. That's what Dwight does so well. He gets on the ball. He drags us 30, 40 yards up the pitch. And then when he's 30, 40 yards up the pitch, he doesn't just get tackled every time like, your Brady's or somebody like that. Not to criticise Brady because he has been playing quite well. But he has got an end product as well, is what I'm trying to say. So he was fantastic. And I think, I've said it was dropped for a little bit, which we debated and stuff like that. We've been debating whether other people should be dropped recently. But he's come back from his time on the bench. Absolutely fantastic. So it shows it can work.
Yeah, obviously, if you're coming from an injury and the first sort of appearances off the bench, he dragged us through it, but obviously not ready to start in 90 minutes. So when he was on the start, I said the Liverpool squad, Charlie Taylor, I know we can't really talk about him too much because he weren't on for the whole game, but I just had a feeling that we're starting to see that 11 come back. You asked the question last week, do we need to see Jack Cork back? I still feel there's an engine missing in the middle. I do really do. And it's not to criticise the two that are in the middle because they all bring different parts of the game to me. But to see Dwight back, Charlie Taylor back, it was a massive energy shift. You know what I mean? We've gone from like a 5 out of 10 in energy to suddenly a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, Charlie Taylor did get injured. So he's touch and go at the minute, according to Darcy's latest press conference, which in English, which in English I think is about 2 weeks. So I was a bit disappointed to see him rush back, but in the end, like you say, that energy shift was there, so I can understand why he was brought back. But I'd have liked him to play
Dwight
in the
would have
Villa
been
game.
he would have been my man of the match if it weren't for Nick
Yeah, well,
Pope.
I think yeah, I was going to say, I think you gave it Pope on the watch along, didn't you? But Dwight Class, I think
Just
I put
because
him
of the
in
magnitude
the
of it.
poll. Yeah, I think I put him in the vote on TurfCast. Yeah, it's good to see Dwight, and a big win, historic win as well. First time since 1974 we've won at Anfield.
Yeah, I only know that bit. I've read it, but I only remember it because of the song.
Yeah, and that's that. I tell you what, if you haven't already, you can see over my left shoulder. I did that to realise which shoulder it were, because I don't know which way I'm switched on camera. If you want to listen to Jared's song, because if you watch the watch along, it's quite funny actually. I'll tell you the story. For those that don't watch the watch along, at half time at 0-0, we were sat there debating the game, and I said something like, "Oh, imagine if we win this, Jared. Will you sing a song if we win this?" And he was like, "Oh, there's no chance it'll happen." So yeah, I'll get my guitar out and sing a song if Burnley beat Liverpool. Obviously, 86 minute, 80 whatever minute it were. Ashley Barnes scores a penalty. We win 1-0. Jared, man of his word, went upstairs, got his guitar, did a sing song live on the watch along. If you haven't seen it already, go and have a look at our social media channels. You'll be able to find it on Facebook and on our Twitter. The actual live watch along, sing along. And then afterwards, a day or two afterwards, he wrote a full version, sat at his piano and wrote a full version with 2 or 3 choruses and verses, and choruses in between. So that's on our YouTube channel, which you can see over my left shoulder. If you haven't already, please do go and subscribe. We are on the road to 300 subs now. We're about 270, 280, I can't remember. So help us get to 300 subs, and then we can get towards the next target, which in the long run is 1,000. So fingers crossed that doesn't take too long. But as usual, I've said a million times, this platform isn't just mine. It isn't just Simon's. It belongs to you as well. And I got everybody involved in the fan reaction as usual. And it was good to see some new faces. I say some new faces, some people who haven't done it for a while. We had representation from America, representation from New Zealand. So it was good to see plenty of international Clarets on this week's fan reaction. And this is what the Burnley fans had to say about that historic win against Liverpool at Anfield.
It's been a while for me. I know America, we're different time zones. I haven't been able to watch many of the games, but I was able to take this one in, and wow, that's all I can say. The back line played great. The whole team played great. I had a feeling it was going to be 0-0 right around halftime when Liverpool was very upset. They were not happy. They weren't getting their way. Jurgen was getting upset. He's a class manager, but he throws fits every now and then. The players just work so hard. I mean, looking at our current form, we weren't playing so well, and we looked like us today, really. And Pope, I'm putting Pope in that category. I'm fringe calling him a world-class keeper. He's probably the 3rd best keeper in the league. I would say he is something else. He's phenomenal. So some big club's going to come in and spend some money on him. Same with Tarkowski, unfortunately, but that's for a different day. And we got the penalty. When's the last time Burnley got a penalty? Especially in the league. Oh man, it's good to be back. I'll keep doing these as long as I'm watching the game anyways. I think we're for sure staying in the league now. This was a massive 3 points. We got some big games coming up, tough games, and I thought this one was tough, and we won. So I'm excited. Up the Clarets from America. Get in, lads.
Martin from New Zealand Clarets here. What a great day for the club. Okay, you could say that Liverpool are in a bit of a funk right now, but they're still a very good team, and they've got some very good players. Actually, about 30 of them. Fantastic demonstration in team defending. Textbook by Burnley, and capped off by another great performance by Pope in goal. You could say that Liverpool were unlucky not to score when Ben Mee had his racket, but Pope, made himself really big and forced the guy to go around him. Another key moment, obviously, was the penalty. and Alisson actually did a good job, went the right way. But Barnes was up to the task and slotted it home. So all in all, a terrific day for the lads, and bring on Villa. Looking forward to that. Cheers.
Now then, Clarets, that was good, wasn't it? It's going to be a short reaction because you don't want to pick apart something as special as that. Anybody who said they knew that was going to happen is lying, quite frankly. I don't think anybody had us down to win. I mean, we've scored a goal, that's the main thing. Albeit a penalty, we've scored a goal. Now they know what that feels like. Hopefully some more come. Unbelievable. Almost a year to the day since the win at Old Trafford. Beating Arsenal away this year already. For as much as they give you bad times, they give you moments like this, and it's pretty special. I think the lad said it last night. I couldn't watch the watch along, but I saw the reactions, and I think you said it. It's a shame that fans weren't in. Although if fans were in, it might have been a bit different, because you know what Liverpool crowds are like at Anfield. But unbelievable. The only thing I can react on is we got lucky with Ben Mee's early mistake, but other than that, defensively solid. And my God, Nick Pope, man. Nick Pope. There's not a chance on earth Southgate can watch what's happened there and not have him as number one for England. It's ridiculous. The man is above Pope. He's a god. Above the Pope level, he's a god. Don't know what happened at half time between Dyche and Klopp, but I won't want to be Klopp. I shat myself for him when Dyche turned round. But unbelievable. Hopefully now, like it was last year, you know, we went to Old Trafford, we weren't in the best form, although we'd just beaten Leicester, which I think was a turning point. Hopefully, this is the Kickstarter, and gives them a bit of belief, and hopefully goals start coming now they know what it feels like again. I know it was a pen, but you've got to still score them, and Barnes took it well, actually, to say he's not scored many and there's been a bit of pressure about goals. He could have easily missed that or done a really shit kick, but yeah, fantastic. I'm not going to pick apart the performance. There's probably aspects that you could, but I can't remember. It's just a result. And Jared needs to release that song. It needs to be released, and it needs to be number one. It's too good to just stay as a sort of cult hit on YouTube. Get it released. What the Clarets?
Clarets! How we doing? Anti-football here. I am buzzing my tits off. I don't know about you, eh? Been up bloody belly and hot all night. Cheers! What a bloody victory, eh? Do 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 do. Anti-football. Boo 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 do. Have a bit of that, eh? Bloody hell, about time and all, innit? First time in donkey's years, innit? 40 odd years. A win at Anfield. But well, we've been threatening it, haven't we? Well, threatening it, stretching it a bit. But we scored first goal there last few seasons, haven't we? And last year we could have won it. Got a draw, didn't we? Only once to take points off them at Anfield last season, eh? And JBG twatted one on to bar, didn't he, in final minutes? Could have won it then, but we did it last night. Bloody brilliant, eh? Eh? Well, we deserved it as well, didn't we? I reckon we deserved it, don't you? Bloody defended brilliantly. All right, they're having a bit of a shit patch at Scousers, but, you know, still a bloody good team, eh? Oh, got a bit lucky with that. He made it bar, didn't we? Got a bit lucky with that. Ben Mee making another little fucker. He's amazing, isn't it? Brilliant, Ben Mee, for 99% a game. Usually 100% a game. But every now and again he does a little balls up like that, doesn't he? Like at West. Anyway, we don't want to be focusing on that now. We bloody won. We bloody beat the champions. Again. Dash beats the champions. Second time in a few seasons, hasn't he? I think the only manager to do that away from, I don't know, I read something in paper. But, that was funny at half time though, wasn't it? That to do with Clippity Clop, eh? proper psyched him out there, didn't he? Do you reckon it were on purpose? Got in his ear just before he were about to make his half-time team talk. I reckon. And it bloody worked, didn't it? You see him chasing him down tunnel. Then as soon as Sean stopped and looked back at him like, all right, come on then, Clippy Clop. Clop stopped in his tracks, didn't he? Like, oh, bloody hell. There's only one winner in that clip, Cop. Get back, you bastard! I'll knock them fucking TV out! Fucking hell, have it! Anyway, a bloody win. I'm well buzzing. I am well buzzing. Proper set up for weekend now, aren't we? FA, well, we'll probably balls up in FA Cup now, won't we, against Fulham, but bollocks to it. It's all worth it for that. As long as we can fill a game again next week. Oh, goodbye me. All right, that's me for now. Take care of yourselves. Ta-da!
Morning Clarets had to come out of hiding after that one. Champagne and a bit of humble pie this morning. I must admit I probably would have gone with Chris Wood and Vidra up front last night. But Ashley Barnes, with his true resilience, cheeky smile and winning mentality, won that game for us at the end of the day. As Tom Heaton said after the game, it was his recovery from the slight stumble leading up to the penalty that caused the goalkeeper to come out and trip him. It was definitely a penalty. As TurfCast quite rightly said, if that had been Liverpool, there wouldn't even have been any doubt about it whatsoever. It's another 46-year hoodoo put to rest against a side desperate for goals and a result themselves. Jurgen Klopp adds himself to the list of managers shocked into disbelief that little old Burnley could go to Anfield and actually win. 69th game, first defeat, that is some achievement. The press, Sky and other broadcasters continue to disregard the fact that we can actually play a little bit. In that first half, there were some good triangles going on in midfield, and had Trent Alexander-Arnold ghosted past players like Dwight McNeil did, they'd have been nominating him for the Ballon d'Or. So I think improving performances have already been in evidence. Only the odd error, strange decisions, cruel deflections have denied us at least a point in 3 of those games. And we have to trust in Dyche because he's constantly said that he can see improvement. He's got players coming back. He can make use of players for part of a game or a whole of a game and find the correct combination. Onwards and upwards as usual. Let's hope for a cup run as well this weekend. And then it's Aston Villa, which is going to be a tough game. But we did quite well at their place, and hopefully we can get the 3 points this time round. So, hope to see you all again soon, and up the Clarets.
So there you go, that was the fan reaction of Liverpool 0, Burnley 1, historic win at Anfield. First win there since 1974, as we've said. And if you're listening to that, watching that and think, I want to get involved, I want to do a fan reaction, then you can do. We're always looking for more people. I know a few people who have struggled to send it in via email and stuff. Robert Benson's one of them. Shout out Robert. And a few others, excuse me. So you can send it via Twitter DM. If you want to. If you know me personally, WhatsApp's probably the best bet. And if you do a few a few fan reactions, and I start getting to trust you and stuff, I'm more than happy to sort of like give you my WhatsApp, and then you can send it out there. But no nudes, please, no nudes. But right, before we go on to the Fulham game, because as I said, it's an action-packed podcast. We've got 2 games to discuss, and we're going to do some transfer talk after the Fulham game as well, which is not something we do very often. But it's towards the end of January, and things are starting to hot up. I do want to say, obviously, we asked the jackpot question last week, and we put it on the Pitch Sport app. Another shout out to Pitch Sport. Thank you for sponsoring us. Please download it in the App Store and the Google Play Store. And especially now if you're in Ireland, you can give it a download as well. But yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, that's it. The Jack Cork question. It's done the thing where it logs me out, so I can't check people's answers to that one. So what we'll do, we'll answer them next week. I don't know why it logs me out. I don't know my password or anything, so I can't log back in. It winds me up knowing. Stop logging me out, Pitch. There you go. That's my only criticism. Anyway, let's talk about the Fulham game then. Fulham 0, Burnley 3. Another victory into the 5th round of the FA Cup for only the second time in the last seasons. My computer's just gone off behind me. And obviously we all know what happened the last time we got into the 5th round of the FA Cup. We had an embarrassing defeat against a non-league side and we should have been in the quarterfinals. But we're all about positive now. We've got Bournemouth or Crawley in the next round. In fact, by the time that this is out, we'll know who it is. I'm going to guess at Bournemouth. I'm going to guess it's going to be Bournemouth. So just for the sake of the podcast, we have Bournemouth in the next round. If that's wrong, now you know why. Chance of a cup run though before we get on to the game.
Yeah, massively. We keep begging for this, and I've said it last week, and I say it again. If we want to start creating a second team and depth and squad sort of talent beyond the first 11, these are the times that we can play these teams and encourage players to come and sit for us and know that they're going to get their opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. It's especially now because, as you say, the transfer window's open, so people are going to be looking at it and thinking, "Oh, there's no point because look at Ben Gibson, he didn't get a chance to play." But if we're playing these sort of people in 5th round and quarterfinals of FA Cups, and they're going to want to come to Burnley. But yeah, let's talk about the Fulham game as well. We made 9 changes, and surprisingly, the 2 people that he kept in was Tarky and Dwight, which should have been the 2 people I'd have been more wanted him to drop the most. But I think that's part of the reason why we played so well. Obviously, we won 3-0. Vid and Jay up front as well, so it was good to see them too. A lot of people have been begging for him. And I think a lot of the stuff that people have been saying was kind of sort of like proven right. But we'll get into that in a minute. But the 3-0, Simon, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so many shocks, so many buzzing things about that match, weren't there? Number one, first top of it all was Kev Long scored. Not just with his head, but with his feet.
I know. What was he doing so far up the pitch? It wasn't even a set piece, was it?
It was from a cross. Yeah, I think it was the second phase.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to say I remember the cross, but the actual cross itself wasn't a set piece. But yeah, it could have been the second phase. But yeah.
Yeah, so he's got that goal. Fulham's pitch were a shambles. That were funny to see, sort of in some respects. The reason I bring that into it is not because I'm laughing at Fulham, but I just thought there's no way that we'd get away with that we would be absolutely ridiculed for shit like that.
Of course
but it's Fulham, so it's right. We kept them quite. There were only one decent player. Mitrovic is a good player. There's other good players on the pitch as well, but Kamara was the only sort of thing that I thought was going to be a threat coming from him. He was the only one. But on the whole, as a game, I thought we were fucking brilliant, mate. With the link-up play that we're begging for in the Premier League, the chances created that we're begging for in the Premier League, the fact that we got 3 goals, 2 of them from Jay, and he assisted the other, is a massive buzz for me. I'd just like to sort of speak on the Vidra thing, because I do think they are exciting watching Jay and Vidra together. But there's certain players that if they was on the pitch and missed the chances that he created, that he had, would have got absolutely lynched even at a 3-0 win. That's the only thing for me now. If he finished them chances that he gets himself, he would be in the starting 11. But you know what I mean? He missed probably. We could have scored 5 easy.
Yeah, he's not clinical enough, is it? He creates opportunities and stretches the play with his runs, which is what a lot of fans. Where he's going back to my point about saying fans are proven right. But then at the other side, the anti-Vidra sort of like debate from people also kind of think that they've been proved right as well, because he missed a lot of chances. So it was a little bit yin and yang, wasn't it? Like he did really well stretching the play, some intelligent runs, creating them pockets in behind him and stuff, which is where we had all that joy in midfield. But then his finishing wasn't good enough. But maybe that will come back through sharpness if he plays more games.
Yeah, I just think I like Vids. This is not to criticise Vids; it's to criticise the fans that are sort of begging for Vids to play. I understand where they're coming from. It's just that they wouldn't allow certain players like Barnes and Wood, for example, to miss them chances without sort of taking to the fucking keyboards. But I understand why they're asking for him, because he's exciting and J-Rod's exciting. And me and you have both said this, Wood and J for us up top?
Yeah. I'll probably in a normal sense, yeah. If Wood wasn't so much out of form at the minute, that's 100% my front two. It's always been Wood and Jay. I've said that podcast last year, they're my favourite front two. At the minute, with Woody being out of form and still not getting a goal, Barnsley getting the goal against Liverpool, I might even try Barnsley and Jay against Villa. I still want to go with Jay and Vids. I think Vids would be perfect to bring on with his intelligent runs, with the way he stretches the play in like the 60th minute. And I think a lot of people will sort of like maybe say, I can't believe you're not starting Vids after he played so well against Fulham. But it was a changed Fulham side, let's be fair. Well, it wasn't Fulham's sort of like first team. And he did play well, but he wasn't clinical enough. And I just think he would be class, like I said, coming on in the 60th minute against some tired legs, you know, some legs that have got an hour of football in them, making them runs and stretching that play, and then maybe, you know, your Brownhills and your McNeils and your Westies can take advantage in the middle of the park again, and we can start getting a hold on a game after the 60th minute. That is where I criticise Dash in the Vidra debate, because I think Vidra should be coming on far earlier. Coming on in the 85th minute, what's he going to do? We might have 3 attacks, you know, in that time, and that's even being generous for Burnley. 3 attacks in 5 minutes is very generous. We might have 1 attack. What's he going to do in that time? He needs to be on from the 60th minute to make them runs that we saw him make against Fulham, to create them pockets of play behind him and things like that. That's what I'd do. So against Villa, what I would do is I'd start Barnsley and Jay, because I think Jay played very well against Fulham. He's definitely deserved his place in the side from that performance. I still prefer Woody. I still think he's our best finisher, but he's so much out of form. I think it's time he deserves a break. In a similar sense with what happened with McNeil, I think he'll come back and will do better if he has that break. But for now, for the game, I'm going for Barnes and Jay. Bring Vids on in the 60th minute, and maybe bring Woody on in around the 75th for Barnes.
Yeah,
something like that.
I can't argue with any of them points really. I think they're good valid points. It's just he ain't going to change it, and why should he change it after another famous victory? You know, how many times have we said that? By the way, we've been doing this podcast now for 2 seasons. It's the 2nd season. Well, we've been doing it live out there anyway, and then we've got 3 massive historical moments in the Burnley world. You know, we got the win away at Old Trafford. In the last 12 months, we were away at Old Trafford. Me and you were there. We didn't get to go to the Arsenal game, and we didn't get to go to the Liverpool game, but we got to do it on a watch along. You know, there's been some incredible results, and why should you change that squad right now? You won't, and he will not, unless there's an injury. Yeah. Well, you say that. Obviously, I think Jay started the game at United, so obviously I know it was Jay and Wood. Obviously, I can't remember who played up front for the Arsenal one. Probably Wood and Barnes. But if going back to them two, Wood and the Arsenal and the Liverpool one, obviously an own goal and a penalty. So there's still no Burnley goals in there, like from open play or anything that have been scored. Obviously, the Aubameyang own goal was an open play goal, but we didn't score it. So that debate will rumble on until we start scoring goals, really, in open play and stuff like that. So who would you start then against Aston Villa up front? I'd stick with what it is, for now, because I do massively think that people underestimate the defensive side of Chris Wood as well. We don't even think about it. We don't mention it, but he's not just there as a thing, but when you are getting 1-0 up or you are holding on, he's a release on the corners, and he sits at the edge of the box when we're defending. If you looked at the Liverpool game, I don't think he came out past 20 yards once it was 1-0 up, and he does do a bit like that. But yeah, I'd probably start them. I'd keep the same squad as the Liverpool game, albeit Charlie Taylor might not be in. Eric Peters, though, I made it on the watch along. He's already won at Anfield with Stoke City, so maybe he's the omen there.
Yeah, potentially. He did really well when he came on. Obviously, quickly going back to the Liverpool game. Obviously, we're talking about Fulham now, but he did really, really well when he came on. So, fingers crossed he can do really well against Villa as well.
Do you want to know the squad for the Arsenal game?
You can do quickly if you want.
Pope, Lawton, Tarkin, me, Taylor, Brady, Westwood, Brownhill, McNeil, Rodriguez, and Wood.
Was it Rod and Wood? Right, interesting. I do think Jay's done enough in that fun game to deserve that against Villa.
Man United as well.
Yeah, obviously he scored at United, didn't he? But yeah, quickly going back to the Fulham game then, why do you think we played so well then? Do you think it's Jay and Vids making the runs, an intelligent play from Jay holding the ball up, Vids making the runs, or do you think it was Jack Cork in the middle of the park? Because obviously we had that debate last week, and obviously the transition between the defence in the midfield being a lot smoother, a lot quicker. Him and McNeil both playing in the same side as well, to be fair. It's always going to be a little bit smoother. Do you think that had a big part to play, or do you think it was the front two?
Massive part. People underestimate what Jack Corty does. We've said this before about previous players get criticised for moving the ball left and right. But you can't go forward every single time, and he brings that link-up play. This is the link-up play. It's not just a direct ball up to Chris Wood for him to try and battle with. It's the people that lay it off to the wing-backs to overlap, to the for the midfielders like McNeil to then get space in front. He doesn't have to drag it up the pitch himself. Massively underestimate people what Jack Corty does for the midfield. But J-Rod, he's man of the match by a country mile. He creates his own look because he's in them spaces and he's got the execution to deal with it as well.
Yeah, well, he did win the TurfCast podcast man of the match poll, so congratulations to Jay for that. And it was Pope who won it at Liverpool. So congratulations to him. It's the most prestigious man of the match poll in world football, if you ask me. I know the lads are desperate to win it every single week. So big shout out to them too. I
think it's worth saying as well, Fulham were fucking dreadful.
Yeah, they were. We'll get on to that.
Hector was shocking.
But at what point do we start? Is it a cup run now? Do we have to beat Bournemouth or Crawley? Probably Bournemouth. By the time it's a cup run, or is it? Yeah. And then at quarterfinals, is that what it is?
It's a cup run for Burnley. What we're in now.
Yeah,
but it's not a
fourth round of cup run for Burnley.
For me, you've got to get to your quarters as a Premier League side to consist of a cup run. I don't think Man United would call it a cup run at this point. Let's put it that way.
Oh no, yeah, Man United won't call it a cup run unless it's final, I presume. It's going to be heartbreaking, though, isn't it? If we get to the semis and we can't go, I'm going to be gutted. If anybody knows of any jobs going at Wembley Stadium, give me a shout. I'm happy to be a chef at Wembley Stadium for that day or whatever. Or mind you, obviously a chef, no one's there. I don't know, security guard on doors, not letting people in and then running myself to watch the game. Anyone know of any jobs going at Wembley, let me know. I'm happy to do that. But obviously we want to do as well as we can. So I don't want the club to not go on a cut run this year, but it would be heartbreaking. But you mentioned Fulham being shite. You said it a bit better than that. You said they were poor. Are we now not worried about Fulham in the terms of the Premier League relegation battle, should I say? Race is definitely the wrong word for that. Because they were that bad, or do we just sort of look at it and think, well, obviously they made a lot of changes, so we won't.
I think it's worth looking over his shoulders at them because they still have their first 11 is a similar concept to our first 11. They know how each other work. They have a bit of consistency. I won't say form, but they've brought a bit more consistency with the play in recent games. We've got them coming up. That will be the proper analysation, or whatever the technical word is, for whether they are a decent outfit and whether we should be taking them seriously. That will be a more realistic result. Their second squad is miles off it, though. If that's their second squad that we just played against, they were fucking miles off it. Ream at the back, Hector were bad, Kamara was decent. Mitrovic had a 10-minute flutter with the
he's a good player, but he's not. He didn't do much, did he?
No, he had a 10-minute spell where I thought, shit, and that were it, mate. Honestly, I can't even remember half the other people's names. They were just taking part. They weren't even playing the game, really.
Yeah, fair enough. So good win into the fifth round of the FA Cup, playing Bournemouth or Crawley, probably Bournemouth. And yeah, we're on for a cup run. Just before I go into the Villa game, like I said, it's an action-packed podcast. Transfer talk, and I feel like there should be some sort of like jingle over this, but there won't be. I'm not going to make one in.
Transfer talk. There you go.
There you go. That's your jingle. On the day of recording this, we're recording it early this week. As you will now be aware, you're also listening to this on probably a Wednesday if you're one of the people that listens to it on the day it drops. So it's not TurfCast Thursday this week, it's TurfCast Wednesday. But on the day of recording this, we are recording this on Tuesday. And just as I was sitting down to set everything up, the news broke that Burnley had a £4.5 million bid rejected for Stoke City's Nathan Collins. Now, Stoke City want £10 million win. I knew that this time last week. So it's another typical Burnley fucking move, innit? Like new owners, same old shit. 10 million quid, we'll offer you less than half. And then in a bit, we'll come in with 7.5 to make it look like it's a good offer. It annoys me. We need to get it. I'll be honest. Balls out on the table, fully honest here. I have not seen him play like a proper game. I don't think I've not watched Stoke in the last couple of years, so I doubt I've seen him play. I've not watched Republic of Ireland under 21, so I've probably not watched him play. But Arsenal are after him. There's a lot of talk in the Midlands about how good he is. Like I said, he does play for the Republic of Ireland under 21s. He is going to be a very good international central defender, according to a lot of reporters, a lot of Stoke City fans, and a lot of even Villa fans. I've been talking to Villa fans today on stuff. They were saying, I believe you're interested in Nathan Collins. He's going to be class. I'd love him at Villa. I don't want Burnley to miss out on this one again through stupid bids. The same happened with Andy Robertson, and look at him now. We were interested in him when he were at Hull, and they ended up missing out on him, and he's gone to Liverpool, and look at him now. I don't want another one of these. I think this guy, based on what people are saying, he could be absolutely terrible. I've not seen him play, but based on what people are saying, this guy could be really good in a few years, and he could be the perfect Tarky replacement, because I think a lot of us are resigned to losing him in the summer. So I just want us to get this one done. I want us to get it over the line, but I'm a little bit worried again. But I'm not sure if you even knew that bit had happened, because I know you've been working all morning doing your Zooms and stuff, and you're going to work all afternoon doing your Zooms and stuff. So I'm not sure you even knew that. But what were your thoughts on that news?
I didn't know there was an official bid, because I've just come straight on to TC, so I didn't actually realise there'd been an official bid, and you give me no pre-warning of that, so thanks for that. But no, it was buzzing to see. It'd be buzzing to see us get him over the line. But what Burnley don't seem to learn is when you put these stupid bids in, it's like lighting a match. And all of a sudden now, you've just sparked everybody else into thinking, shit, we need to react to this. So you know that they want 10 million. Is 10 million a realistic thing for a kid that hasn't played a Premier League game yet? Probably yes, nowadays. I hate to say it, but it probably is.
The debate on Twitter after I put the tweet up saying like this is ridiculous, I'm laughing at Burnley for offering this. Everyone's saying, he's unproven, he's only played in the Championship. Just look at the money that Villa spent on Cash and Watkins, you know what I mean? Like, these are the sort of players. We need to get back to signing these young, hungry Championship players, because that was what we did so well for so long. And now clubs like Villa and West Ham are doing it now. We've been blown out the water with these sort of players and that sort of money that they're paying. So we need to get back into this, and this is the perfect sort of player to do it with.
We said at the beginning of the season, when we heard that Tarky was injured and he potentially leaving and all this stuff, and you asked me the question, what would be my ideal scenario? And I said it would be to keep him till the summer, get somebody in January who's got a few months behind to just come in, get used to it, work his way into the squad, ready for the next season. And this is perfect if we do it, if we deal with it, if we actually take it over the fucking line for once. It has to happen, because Tarky will go if he's going this summer, if he's going next year, if he's going in 5 years. But we don't want to be left in a position where he does go this summer and we've got nobody. Same as every other position. We've mentioned it time and time again. If you've got a player that's hitting 30 now, there should be a 21-year-old coming in ready to sit on the bench and work his way in.
Yeah, of course. That's the way we've done it for years. Recently, for whatever reason, we've stopped. Like I said, it's probably like the likes of Villa and Leeds and West Ham just blowing us out of the water, because their transfer strategy seems to have changed. Your West Ham used to be buying players from abroad. Now they're buying, they're still buying players from abroad, of course, but now they're dipping into the Championship as well, where that used to be sort of like Burnley. Obviously, we signed Charlie Taylor, Chris Wood, these sort of players. We did last year with Brownhill. That's worked out brilliantly. But in this summer, for some reason, we only signed sort of like Dale Stevens, sort of like the older Premier League reject, so to speak. I know it wasn't exactly a reject; it didn't fit Brighton's style. But it didn't really work out too well for Stevens at the beginning. But he played okay against Fulham, to be fair. So maybe he's finally starting to come into the way that we play. But yeah, my thoughts are get this one done, get it over the line, get him in for 6 months, and then when probably Tarky leaves in the summer, because he's ambitious and he wants to play at bigger clubs and play in the Champions League and things like that, which is fair enough. He'll be ready to step in. So we need to get this one done, Burnley. And hopefully by the time that we do the next podcast, we'll have seen a picture of him holding the shirt, because the transfer window shuts this weekend, I think, or on Monday. I'm not sure exactly when. But another one. There's not been an official bid, but we've been linked with Josh King over the last few weeks. And it's starting to gather momentum today, really. In the last couple of days, there's been more and more reports linking us to him, and a well-known journalist, Pete O'Rourke, used to work for Sky Sports, but I think now he's sort of like freelancing it and doing stuff like that, has said today that Burnley are interested in Josh King at Bournemouth, and with Burnley's new ownership, he thinks that this one has a real chance of happening. Now, I know that he's on about 125k, so that would obviously have to come down. But this is why Bournemouth are in the mess that they're in. You're offering these sort of players that sort of money. Begovic on 100k a week, wasn't he, on the bench, I think, at some points this season. So it would be good to see them and their ridiculous transfer strategy and wage structure get relegated last season. So the wage is going to need to come down. It's going to need to come down quite a lot. I think minimum 75k, and even that, I think, is probably more than anybody at the club. I don't know the accounts, obviously. No. Things might have gone up recently. But I would be very surprised if we're paying anyone that sort of money. As far as I'm aware, that the highest is around 60. But that's, again, just sort of like an educated guess from things I've seen in the past. But Josh King, that'll be a good signing. He's pacey, he can finish. I think the only problem is it would kind of like spell the end of Vids getting on. He won't even get on the 80th minute anymore. He'll just be playing on the 23s. But I'd take Josh King.
I'd take Josh King, mate. I'd be surprised if we get that one over the line with our bidding transfer philosophy, because if we start putting a bid in for him, I can't see other clubs not wanting to come in for him. I think he's a quality player. He's exactly what we need in terms of the pace and the power. I do think Vidra go. I read somewhere that the chance of there's a real chance of swapping Andre Gray for Vids.
That's a lot of bollocks. I'll tell you what. I'll say it now. The reason why I don't retweet everything is because half of it's clearly bollocks. But when you see actual journalists tweeting shit and not just courtoffside.com tweeting it, then it's But I'll say now, if we swap Mate Vidra for Andre Gray this January transfer window, I will plat shit live on a watch along. Actual shit. I will plat shit on a watch along. It ain't going to happen. We are not swapping Vids and
well, it happens.
There's no chance. I'll have to wear some gloves.
Just because I want to see that happen. But yeah, no, I do think we need to start making a real momentum. I did say to you, the new owners have come in, and anybody coming into a new thing makes a massive shift to let everybody know they're here, whether it's a big transfer or, a shift in the staffing. Something will happen, and hopefully he does put his hand in his pocket and say, right, we're here now and we mean business.
Fingers crossed. Good to see him at the game. Just before we get onto the Villa game, good to see him at the Fulham game at the weekend. He got to his first Burnley game, so that was good to see.
Amazon will be buzzing, won't they? They're slating him for not turning up when he had COVID.
Yeah, dicks. But yeah, Villa game, big game coming up. Obviously, we're going into the game in form now. I still, even though they're in very good form and they're clearly a very good side, they spent £250 million over the last 2 seasons. So of course they're going to end up being a good side, and they have the main part of the puzzle already there. Jack Grealish, who absolutely dominated us at the Turf last season on New Year's Day. It's going to be a tough one, but it's one of them that we can win. It's a weird one. I do think we can win it, but I do think, it's one of the games where if we win it 1-0 or if they win it 3-1 or it's 1-1, literally nobody will raise an eyebrow. But it's going to be an interesting matchup again. Hopefully we can keep Grealish quiet.
Do you know what? I watch Villa a lot, obviously, because I'm friends with Tom. I want him to see how, if he gets on, if anything happens, if there's an injury or whatever. I always watch Villa games. But last year, going back to that game on New Year's Eve when they tore us apart, it was the Jack Grealish shot. And I could only ever tell you that Jack Grealish was the man. And it's in the press. Everyone said it, but Jack Grealish sort of dragged Villa through that season. He got them to safety, in my opinion. But it's not just my opinion. There's other people's opinion as well. Now, I can't say that this year, that it's just the Jack Grealish show. There's so many good players in that squad this season that are coming out. There's McGinn. Now, he had a good season last year, to be fair to him, but there's McGinn, there's Grealish, there's Martinez, there's Watkins. There is some squad being built there, and I know they spent a lot of money, but credit where credit's due. I'd be the first to slate a club when they spend money and it goes tits up like Bournemouth did. But they seem to have built a perfect jigsaw right now. And I hope that we sort of take a format out of that, because, they got Matty Cash in, they got Watkins in, they went to the Championship and outbid us on some players.
That's exactly why we can't do that anymore. Because clubs like Villa and West Ham and Leeds, they've got more fans, more backing, so that they can do that and offer more money. So that's why we haven't been able to do that recently.
We've seen him Traore, and made it a quality player, left-footed player, really good. They've got more than one player this season, and I do think it'll be a very tough ask considering that they tore us apart with one player last year. And
we did keep them quite. No, we weren't. But I think we were hungover. We were shite that day. There was just something wrong with us. We were shite. I don't know what it was. I do think it was partly to do with Jack Grealish being fantastic, but we were shite as well. But similar to last season, we kept them. Well, not similar to last season. We drew it. Similar to last season, we drew at Villa Park this season, though. That's encouraging. And the most encouraging about it this season is we kept them quiet. Obviously, it finished 0-0 down at Villa Park, so we kept them quiet once this season. We can do it again.
Yeah, I mean at that point they were on that sort of like seesaw point of their season where they won like 4 games in a row, then they lost 4 games in a row, then they were sort of like getting to grips with it. But now they seem to have got that consistency, that momentum, and I think they know what kind of club they are right now. Whereas at the beginning of the season, obviously a lot of new faces in, all adapting. It won them a few games and it lost them a few games, but I do think they're a different squad at the minute, and watching them, they are very, very organised. They know how to play. I do think there's a chance of getting a result out of it. The only reason I'm analysing it so much is because I do watch them quite a bit. But if we can keep Grealish quiet, and it's still Grealish who's the main threat, you've still got Traore, you've still got thingy, but Watkins isn't unbelievable against a team that sit back. He's unbelievable against a team that comes out because he's got that pace. And he's very good at his snapshots. But I think if we sit back like we do and we sit as deep as we do, Watkins isn't the main threat in that game for me. Watch him have an hat-trick now.
Yeah. Well, obviously we kept him quiet at Villa Park this season, whereas last season at Villa Park it was 2-2. So and then obviously they scored 2, I think, again at the Turf. So they had quite a bit of joy against us last season, not so much this season. So fingers crossed we can keep them quiet again, and fingers crossed with a bit of a change up front, or with the confidence from the Liverpool game that Ashley Barnes and the entire squad will have got, and the confidence.
Even
from
your
Villa,
lookalike Target, he's a good player. A little bit, yeah, the young Joe. Anyone who knows young Joe, not old Joe now, but young Joe, he looked like Target. But he's a good left back, mate. He can whip a ball. He's very similar to Charlie Taylor, a lot of energy. So if Dwight McNeil's on that right hand side in any part of the game, or Brady, they've got a job on their hands.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed we can do it, because as I said, we have got confidence now from the Liverpool game, and we will have confidence from the Fulham game as well. So fingers crossed we can go into it. I'm feeling confident. We've had a win at Liverpool. The way I see it now, if we can beat Liverpool at Liverpool, we can beat anybody. That is simply it. Now, if we play as how we can play, I think we can beat anybody. I know Liverpool are on a bit of a bad run, and it's a little bit different with Villa. Villa are going to come into this full of confidence, probably more confidence than us with the run that they've been on. So I do think in that sense it will be a tougher game. But Liverpool are clearly a better side, and we kept them quiet and got the win. So I think we can get the win. I'm going to go for, I think he's going to change absolutely nothing. So I think it's going to be Wood and Barnes at top. I think it's going to be Peters at left back, though, which I know he played well against Liverpool and he played well against Fulham. But my arse still falls out a bit when when he's at left back, because I would prefer Charlie there. So they might get some joy down that side. I'm not sure. But if they score, it's a typical Burnley sort of like thing, isn't it? If they score, especially if they score first, I think we're out of it. But I think if we keep them quiet for the large part, which we've already shown we can do this season, then we can push on and maybe nick a goal or two. So I'm going to go for a standard Burnley win, 1-0, set piece goal. Ashley Barnes again, or I'm fingers crossed Woody. I'm going to say Woody because I want Woody to start scoring. We need Woody to start scoring. And if he doesn't score, then I've said it already. I love Woody, but I think it's time he had a break. I would personally start Jay and Barnes, but if he plays against Villa and doesn't score again, then I think that'll even be enough for Dash. I think he will start changing it after that. But I'm going to go with Burnley 1, Aston Villa 0 for that game. What's your prediction?
I'm going to go 2-1 because I do find it hard to think that they will not score against us. So I think if we're going to win, we might have to score 2. So I'm going 2-1.
Fair enough. Well, of course, me and Simon don't know too much about Villa, or this time Simon does. That this time for the opposition, Simon actually does know about the opposition, whereas normally you can see him stuttering and muttering. He hasn't a clue about Fulham, so things like that. But this week we've done a pre-game show. I had a chat with the lads from the Villa Together podcast, and this is just a clip of what they had to say about this week's game.
So game week 35 last season, we beat Arsenal to go to 30. No, actually, I think it was a draw. No, it was a draw against Everton. Took us to 30 points. So with 3 games left to stay up, we're on 30 points. We're now on 29. and we're not even in halfway through the season. So that is a measure of how far we've come. I think last season we were pretty poor. You watched the games. We were poor, a big chunk of the season. Ironically, it was against Burnley away that we kind of seemed to look like we were going to be getting better. We had a couple of bad injuries. Wesley picked up an injury. Tom Heaton picked up an injury as well. I think that
obviously Burnley fans were wrenching when Tom went down. Obviously, when we were allowed to go on, I sit in the stand which is behind the goal where Tom got injured, and obviously Burnley fans still love Tom just as much as what we did when he was here. He's a Burnley legend. He won the league championship as Burnley captain, so we were heartbroken to see him go down. But yeah, it were a good game, that one. Not from a Burnley perspective, but definitely from your perspective.
Yeah. It was a good win, and it kind of we changed the formation, started, and we thought, here we go. But yeah, so far this season, I think recruitment's been key. We've been fantastic, in all fairness, and there's, I think you probably say 90-95% of the games that we've played in, we've been at least competitive. But most of the games, we've been probably the better team in a lot of them. You're looking at Ollie Watkins, Matty Cash, Emi Martinez. They've all been brilliant. Ross Barkley has been good. He's just come back from injury. He missed 7 games and then he came back for the Man City game. So yeah, it's been great so far, and we, like you say, we're looking up rather than down at the moment.
So there you go. That was the lads and me on the pre-game show. The lads from the Villa Together podcast, shall I say, on the pre-game show, chatting about this week's game against Aston Villa. It is already on YouTube. I uploaded it yesterday, the day that you're listening this. On Tuesday, that would have been updated. So if you're listening to it on Wednesday, it is already there. If you want to go and watch that now ahead of the Villa game, then please feel free to do so. The full version, as I said, is on YouTube. But that's it from us for this week. We've had a lot to discuss. We've had to push the podcast a day early because we're obviously going to be doing the watch along tomorrow night, so we won't have time to then go and do the podcast as well. So these games, it's not just busy for the players, it's busy for the podcasters and the streamers as well. There's a lot going on, so it's a good job I was off work for these couple of days.
We're going to do the transfer deadline live.
If there's chances of Burnley signing somebody, maybe, but all I can do is keep checking Chris Borden's Twitter while I'm live, so it might not be the best live. Chris has tweeted. Oh, it just says he's gone for tea. Follow Dan Black for updates for an hour. No, that's irrelevant. So it might not be the best.
Please be stand outside turf in a Mac like Ollie off the weatherman.
I'll get moved away, won't I? I'll get moved away. They're like, it's COVID, you can't be here. Piss off.
Stand on top of Parkview roof like they used to do. You remember them? This guy used to do that.
Oh, Granada used to do it. I remember Granada doing it. But yeah, watch along tomorrow night. Are you free?
Yeah, I've even not booked a Hair Socials live that night just because I've seen the fixture. We're already there.
Happy days. At 6 p.m. we'll be live on Facebook, YouTube, and maybe Twitch as well. So please tune in for that. But that's it. Like I said, from this week's podcast. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and we will see you for the watch along tomorrow night.